Hey kids, today we are going to discuss probably the most important part of this lesson, this learning goal of what properties can be used to identify minerals. Okay. All right. There's 7 major ones. The color of the mineral, streak, which we're going to learn what it is, luster. Some of you may know, we've talked about a little bit. 2 terms that kind of go together called cleavage and fracture, density, which we've been over, hardness, and then there's special properties, kind of some unique things like magnetism. Okay, the first one I'm going to start with color. It's helpful, but it's not the best way because sometimes minerals will have the same color and be totally different. The best example there is pyrite and gold. Pyrite is called fool's gold. So those are 2 there that is why maybe color is not the best way. All right. Then we have a first important definition, and that is, let me get my streak is the color of a powdered form of a mineral. Okay. So when you rub a mineral against a white tile called a streak plate, kind of think of, I don't know if you've ever seen this, if you've maybe built a house or been in someone who's building a house, or if you've been at Lowe's or somewhere, they have tile that are unfinished, like they don't have that glaze on it. That's what we're talking about here. So that is the color that it leaves. So let's look at this question. If we look at these 2 mineral samples, okay, which property indicates that they're the same mineral? Well, let's look at their color there. Okay. Oops, I need to go back. Sorry. Okay. So what do we think? Well, their streak's the same color, so they have the same streak color. So those could be the same mineral, even though they look totally different. Okay. The way that a mineral reflects light is its luster. And these are obviously diamonds, so they have incredible high luster. Okay. So there's 2 types of luster. There's one called metallic, which would be like looking at a metal. Think anything like silver, how it like reflects back or shines back. And then there's non-metallic. All right. These next ones are more ones you're probably less familiar with. Okay. So when a mineral splits where it's weakest, okay? So a mineral is going to have weak parts in it. If it splits there and it's real smooth and flat where it splits, that is called cleavage. Okay? The opposite of that, like this one, see how these are pretty smooth, okay? The opposite of that is called fracture, and that one it breaks into uneven pieces. So let's look over here, right, cleavage or fracture in each one. So this one, smooth, flat sheets would be cleavage. All uneven would be fracture. Okay, we've done this next topic, density. Hopefully you remember, don't break my heart, mass over volume. Here we go. Don't break my heart. They even show us that. Okay, it is mass over volume. And it is measured in grams per cubic centimeter, but we're most worried about mass over volume, mass over volume, mass over volume. Okay, now this next one is weird. People throughout my teaching years have gotten this confused with streak, and they're not the same thing. Okay, this is the hardness of the mineral, how hard it is. Okay, it is the measure of a mineral's resistance, how much it doesn't want to be scratched. So obviously diamond, because it's one of the most rare and hardest minerals there are, you cannot scratch a diamond. Okay. And we measure it on a thing, and we'll be doing work with this next week on Mohs hardness scale. A scientist by the name of Friedrich Mohs came up with it. So Mohs hardness scale, it's based on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is the hardest. So the only object that can scratch a diamond is another diamond. So think about that. Okay, so here is the Mohs hardness scale. Again, 10 is a diamond. 1 is talc, which is like powder, baby powder. Okay, so here's everything in between. And they've given you some examples. And over here, they've just kind of flipped it. Like a fingernail is about 2.5, and then a penny is 3.5, and it goes up. You can notice those. And again, we're going to do some sample questions with this next week. The question for this page is, a mineral can be scratched by calcite. Okay, so it can be scratched by calcite, but not by a fingernail. What do we think its hardness will be? Okay, so calcite can scratch it, but not a fingernail. Okay, so calcite is about at 3. Okay, fingernails 2.5. So you know it has to be harder than 2.5, but not harder than 3. Okay, we will stop there for today. We'll look at these questions later. Hopefully, you'll do well on these questions. If not, you can always redo them. All right, have a great weekend.